So today I thought I'd do a mini video in Newport and explore my closest city to where I grew up, and the city I was actually born in 1986. So today we start the adventure on the River Usk. So the River Usk is quite famous around here. It had an incredibly huge industrial history. It's one of the ports that brought down all the coal, well, where all the coal got delivered to up the valleys. Also used to have a canal system that used to run down the side here and connect to the world famous Newport market just over there. The Usk is also known for one, or it might be the highest, but it's one of the highest tidal rivers in Europe. I'm pretty sure about that. It's something like that. So the tide is still going out. It's almost rock bottom. It's still going out though. You can still see the flow of the water going in that way. It will get to a point though where the ocean starts rising and it will start pushing back up. So you can see just opposite here where high tide is, and when it rains, when the Usk fills up and it's got a lot of water coming down from the South Wales valleys, the tide has almost teetered, whatever the word is, over the banks. So those are flats over there, and just behind there is Rodney Parade, which is Newport County's home ground. And just down there is the Millennium Bridge, heading towards Millennium Walks, and then connects to Corporation Road. I think that is correct. I am not from Newport, I was born here unfortunately. So we're going to take a walk down the Usk today, explore what's going on, go as far as the castle, and maybe do a time lapse of the tide coming in here. It's actually a really, really nice day today. It's caught me off guard. I've been in town actually doing some business, and there's a project that's going to be coming up on the 3rd of August, which I'll let you guys know more on in the coming weeks. But if you want to know earlier, just follow me on the Instagram account. So we're just heading up to the new cultural hub in Newport. This has been here for about 10 years now, maybe a bit more. It didn't exist when I first started travelling to Newport with my grandparents. But they do theatre, comedy, art exhibitions and so forth. There's a new bar that's just opened over here. It's a new sports bar, so we could check that out, but I do have to be back at an appointment in the next 60 minutes. Well, probably about 35 minutes I need to go back to an appointment. It's one of the original graded buildings here. Just makes you think what it could be. So Newport, as well as the docks by here that used to be here, there used to be a rail system, and there used to be a canal system that came from Brecon. It was actually connected to Brecon. It was probably one of the largest canal systems in the UK, but unfortunately in the mid-80s a lot of the sections got filled in to make roads for vehicles. But fortunately I was lucky enough to grow in a mining town and learn a lot about local history, which connects massively to Newport. So as you can see from the blue plaque I just showed you right by here, in recent years, as recent as, well, 2002 for my generation, there was a merchant ship discovered just here in the mud of the riverbanks of Newport, which predates a lot of the commercial activity that was done here during the 1800s, which is incredible. A lot of people think it might be a Viking ship, a lot of people think it might be a Spanish ship, French, but there is actually an exhibition where you can go and see it. They're still repairing the timbers they found, but right by here they did find a ship that was in good condition, that was preserved by the muds I've been to Sweden and they've got one over there called the Visa, and that one was found in the muds over there. Much more better condition than the one here. But that one's such an incredible one to go and visit if you do end up in Stockholm. I don't think it's too much to get into the exhibition. It looks just like the ship from the Goonies. It is just like that stereotypical dream, sort of pirate-esque sort of ship. But yeah, we're now further down the Usk, with the exhibition centre just to my left. And you can see, just under the bridge with the River Usk, it's still pushing the water in this direction here. And I can see visually with my own eyes that the tide is still going out, so just waiting for the tide to come in. I don't think I'll be able to time-elapse the entire tide. It will take like 2 hours for it to like fill up. But we will do a 20-minute time lapse. See if we can capture any of the movement in the water. But yeah, just to think back in the day where the canal would come here, the trains would come here. You've got the trade on the river right by here as well. Just the amount of produce coming off and off the ships, moving around the UK and probably part of go into other parts of the UK colonies around the world. There is a map just up there which shows where coal went from the UK, and some of it went as far as Cape Town in Africa, and some of it went to like Kurdistan as well. So that's a good example of the UK sending out their resources to other parts of colonised parts of the world from the UK. So we're actually stood right now where the old Catace dock used to be in Newport, where the actual centre is built behind me. You can't see any remains of the old dock. You can see just a little bit on the other side there, which would have been called something else. But the river's also known for its wildlife as well. You've got otters here. You've got trout, brown trout, that are probably coming down the Usk. Brown trout are actually freshwater fish, but they will come down into partly salt water. You do get other fish like salmon that come up here, and you will get sea trout, which some people call suet. Other animals include otters, and you will get some kingfishers down here on some days. Other fish include eels and conger eels and sand eels. So at different parts of the day, you will get seagulls that hang around here. There's still some here, and as the tide goes out, you will get a lot of morsels that are hanging around in the wet mud, and that's where they get their food for the day. Right by here, you can see there's a bit of activity from seagulls just on the far side of the river there. So once the tide goes out, the seagulls will probably go and do something else, and once the tide comes in, the seagulls will probably go and do something else, and once the tide goes back out again, it releases another fresh food of water, a fresh source of food. Just behind me here is a statue called the Steel Wave, which was created by a guy called Paul Fink. It's built to commemorate the steel history of Newport from the 1800s. Painted in bright red. I actually think it's a slight eyesore for Newport in my own opinion, just based on the colour scheme alone. But it is quite pretty, and it does reflect Newport's past history. But yeah, with it being like bright red, it's always been like an odd colour for me to see when I've arrived in Newport. With my bus station just being behind it. So we're ever closer now to the river that goes over the Usk. And then there's a new sports bar that's just been opened over there. Yeah, so I stand corrected. The sculpture was actually created by Paul Fink. I'll just show you in closer detail right by here. The wave is meant to turn in the wind, but I think the council have been more concerned on the paint job than adding a bit of oil to the brackets for it to move. But yeah, it's an iconic statue for a Newport. Like I said, the bright red's a bit too much, but I guess I don't live here for it to bother me too much. So this is where the main flow of the Usk kind of hits the bottom of the bridge here, and then the rest is taken over by seawater, though seawater definitely does travel further up than this. So right where I'm standing by here is where the docks used to go and go all the way down the Usk. It used to be massive. And then the building right by here with the spire is the Newport market, which now is more of a food market than anything. I came here the other day to get my dad some stuff from Newport market. He's a big fan of faggots. If you don't know what faggots are, do your research. Anyway, I went in the market to discover that there's no butchers in there anymore. My friend Mike referred me to one that is in a place called Pill, which is the other side of the town centre. Which it's a bit sad really to have a local market not producing any butcher products. It's a bit, you know, there's a train just coming in, passing the Newport Castle right here. I'll come back to doing Newport Castle one day. I'm only here as a flying visit to do some business with a friend of mine. But the castle and the other side we will prepare a video one time. I'm actually going to be in Newport now for the following week. And yesterday I just come back from Paris, so this video is definitely going to go up from Paris because this one's going to be easier to chop together. The Paris one will follow in weeks to come. But yeah, I should head back into town now, finish up what I was going to do and head back up the South Wales valleys. It has been nice to walk up and down the Usk. Not many people do come into Newport, unfortunately, but there's a few sculptures along the way. There's a coffee shop inside the theatre building here, and then there's the Millennium Bridge you can walk over, and you can get food the other side, or you can chill out with a refreshment and then come back over. Friar's Walk is a different story. We could talk about that another day. I've got many opinions on Friar Walk. I got many opinions on how Newport can thrive again as once it was. Because as a child coming here with my grandparents, there was people everywhere, like literally everywhere. You could walk down the high street on the weekend and you was almost shoulder to shoulder with people walking in the opposite direction. So in past years, since online retail, Newport has been declining in its in its retail sector. And since lockdown as well, a lot of the financial businesses around here introduced remote working, which meant that one of the recently built buildings for a company called Admiral is now not being used. But it's a big building too that is just not being used, so it's quite sad to see that. But anyway, let's head back over to Newport Market. I'll head back to the shop that I was in, that I need to pick something up from, and then we'll head back up the South Wales valleys. I hope you've enjoyed this little tour of the River Usk today. I hope I brought a glimmer of hope to you guys to maybe come to Newport one day if you're passing through. Or if you are passing through, stop here and have a look before you continue your journey, whether that's going to England or to West Wales.